Well, welcome everybody. This is a first of conversations with industry leaders across real estate. We're here with first, we're talking about relationships and how this industry runs on relationships. I'm really excited to sit down with Debra Trappen. We actually just met.
Yes.
So it's fun that we actually get to talk about relationships as we get to know each other a little bit. So I'd love to just start off just hearing a little bit about what you do, Debra, and maybe how you got into this.
Sure. Well, I guess I should probably start with where I began inside the real estate space. So I moved to the Seattle area in 2002 and leaving kind of the crash of Silicon Valley and decided to kind of diversify what my husband and I were doing at the time. And so I had gone on a tour of the area with a realtor. And I was like, hey, this looks like a cool job. Like, what's this about? And so I went and interviewed and fell in love with the people. Right, I love entrepreneurs, and real estate's packed with them. And so got my license and did various things inside the real estate industry for a large brokerage in the Seattle area. And one of the things that I fell back into was doing recruiting, which is what I was doing before. And so I started helping recruiting and training new agents. And then 2008 hit in real estate. And that's when, the gentleman I was working for decided to go back into the brokerage. And so I took over his position at corporate. Managing the recruiting and training.
You've seen a technology crash and a real estate crash.
I have seen it all. I have seen it all. And so I started working in corporate and really working individually with agents, doing a lot of mentoring, a lot of hand-holding and conversations about what was happening inside the real estate space. And I mean, some of them were like, I can't make my mortgage. Some of them were, like my car is getting towed. What should I do? It was really intense stuff. And I realized that's where the magic was for me, is really nurturing the relationships with the agents, and not from a retention perspective, but from just a human perspective. Right. They're not cattle. They're not a number. They're people that are, trying to live their life's purpose out inside the real estate space. So I did that for many years, and then actually was at an Inman Connect that I was on the top of 30 Rock, and I had this divine moment. It was like, you need to get out from behind the brokerage so that you can serve the industry at large. And so now what I do is I'm an empowerment coach. I help people get out of their way. And the bulk of what I do is for the person, right? Help them define their values, what they're passionate about, really uncover what their purpose is. And then for real estate, I help them translate that into their niche so that they're serving their ideal client who, when the phone rings, they want to answer it. They're not compelled to lie and say, I'm in a meeting, I can't talk right now, right? So that's where I am today. I now travel the country and speak. I do a lot of work with women in real estate. And especially in this climate, it's such a beautiful thing because companies are actually investing in that space. And so it's really growing into this beautiful practice of just helping leaders in the space get in touch with who they are so that they're building organizations based on their soul, not
and what they're all
the dollar.
About. I'm really excited for more differentiation in the space as people start to focus. We could talk for hours, it sounds like, with how long you've been in the space and all the different layers you've seen. I'm really excited to dig in more about how you help agents. We share your view that agents are these incredible entrepreneurs. They're the second largest group of 1099 contractors, and they have these healthy small businesses, and like you said, it's families. Do you have family? You mentioned your husband.
I have a husband and I have 2 dogs.
Two dogs.
Yes,
wow.
we are a Seattle family.
Yes.
Seriously.
Yes. Do you take the ferry? You come across it?
We do. We travel. We road trip all the time. That's kind of our MO with the 2 dogs. We have a chocolate min pin named Nico. He is a Stitch, and a Jack Chi, which is a Jack Russell Chihuahua mix.
Oh wow.
Her name is Lizzie, and she is crazy. It fills the house with crazy, and it's awesome.
That is awesome. So maybe a little personal question. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I'm an ambivert.
An ambivert.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing because I do recharge solo. Like that is my recharge space. But I also leave the stage after talking to 3,000 people on an absolute high. And I don't need to recharge. So I'm lucky that way. And I think it's the actor inside, right? Like it's so amazing when you walk out on a stage and you're like, your lives are about to change. Like I am going to change your lives right now. And so I have the ability to go back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really neat. And I'm curious, as you think about the relationship side of the business, in your personal world and maybe in your business, and now that you're in more of kind of a coaching environment, how does relationship play into your business today?
Oh, in every aspect.
Yeah, walk me through more of it.
Interestingly enough, when you work inside a corporation, whether it's real estate or mortgage, you work with who you work with. Like who's in your organization, that's your pool of people. But for me, now being on the outside, I actually can choose the people I do business with.
Sure.
And I can choose the agents that I coach or the leaders that I help develop. And I use who I am, my passion for dogs and wine and yoga and whatever it might be, to tell my story so that the people who have those things in common with me go, oh, well, I do want to coach, or I do need to take that class. So why not let it be with someone who I have something else to talk to?
Wow, so it sounds like those other facets of who you are actually build a connection with all the inbound you're coming. So you have decision points and you're connecting with them on a relational level because you could choose a lot of different clients, but you're saying you're attracting clients that are like you, and that builds.
Correct.
Does that build the relationship faster? So you have conversation about dogs and you're immediately at a different level?
Absolutely. Well, I think one of my top values is mastery, which involves efficiency. And so I'm not a small talker.
Yep.
I don't want to have I want to get in to the deep conversation. Yep. And social media allows me to do that. It allows me to kind of jump over the, hey, how's it going? What's happening with the kids? I already saw all that.
Right.
Facebook allowed me to see that. And I can say, oh yeah, I went on this trip or went here, and dig in and go, oh, my favorite meal was, or my favorite bottle of wine was. And you can get deeper into the things that really create a deeper connection, not just the casual conversation.
That's really, really interesting. So you take it a step further. Does that mean you're watching all these other people on Facebook so that you're caught up with what they are, where they're at, and then you can have a more meaningful point in conversation?
Well, the people who I'm trying to build relationships with, yes. I use lists on Facebook like mad. And that's where I spend my time. So my stream,
a lot of people don't know you can do that.
Oh, I know.
It's astounding.
It's
it still blows my mind. Yeah, you can build a list, a group of people on Facebook, and see all of their posts, not just what Facebook thinks you should see.
Correct. Yeah, I rarely go to my newsfeed.
Yeah, that's great. So you already know what's going on in their lives, and that enables you to have a more pointed conversation.
Correct.
How do you deepen that? So it sounds like you go to something specific. How do you build? We always think about two things. There's kind of relationship and there's trust.
Right.
And how do you deepen both of those?
So for me, trust is serving. Right. I build trust by serving and giving and sharing. And so as I mentioned earlier, I love working with women and empowering women. Yep. And so inside the real estate space, I created a secret Power Women group where I'm throwing
it's not secret anymore. It's on camera now.
Well, it's not a secret.
We just broke the news.
Boys aren't allowed, but I created a safe space for these women to talk about what was going on.
Yes.
And it's a place where I can learn where their pain points are and serve them, whether it's writing something or creating a keynote talk that helps them. So it's a place where we help each other. And so that's a great place where I build trust, is in that quiet place, right? Where it's just, what's going on? Like, let me get you fired up, right? My brand is fire up.
Yes.
People don't leave calm once they've talked to me.
Right.
Right? They're like, I can take on the world. And so I create little spaces for that where they can do that.
I'm married to a redhead, and she says that it's a fiery thing.
Yes, it is.
That's great. What's the hardest part of being in a relationship-driven industry?
Well, it can be exhausting. Building relationships, that's the introversion side, right? Where there's a difference between being social and being sociable. And so if you aren't careful, if you don't intentionally choose the relationships you build, you can do quantity, not quality. Mm-hmm. And I think that when it's too many relationships, you can't dig in. Right. And then it's shallow. Yeah. And I think shallow is exhausting when it comes to relationships. And so
that's a great line. Shallow gets exhausting.
It does.
Yeah, it sounds like, going back to what you said just a minute ago, you've been very intentional with actually creating the groups of people you want to engage with, and then actually drawing them to you by posting about who you are and what you do.
Correct.
It's interesting how there's some transparency. Is there vulnerability there? How does that play into the relationship dynamic?
Well, I teach people how to do what I do. You know, it's interesting in leaving the real estate space on the brokerage side and starting my own practice, because I know how to use social media. Everyone's like, oh, are you going to be a social media coach? No. But I can use it. I can see the power of the matrix of Facebook and see through all of the bells and whistles and pokes and all of that fun stuff, and really utilize the tool for what it's meant for, is getting to know people. And so I think that there's this layer around when you do intentionally do something that people want to do it like you're doing it. Yeah. So that's a way that I can give back and say, well, no, I'm not going to, you don't have to pay me to teach you that. Let me show you. And here's how I do it. And the whole dogs, wine, and yoga, I've said that combo, I can't tell you how many times from stage, because it gets people going, oh, well, what are my dogs, wine, and yoga?
Right.
And that's where the magic is. Like, what are your words?
Yeah, that's really powerful. That's really powerful to pick some words that really help define and that people can hang a hat on.
Yeah.
The other thing that I just keep coming back to is something you said a minute ago, which is you use Facebook for what it's there for, just to deepen relationships. And it's also to kind of do some background so that you can get in your offline deeper, faster.
Yes.
That's really powerful.
Correct. Well, and it keeps us connected in between time. You know, there's lots of conferences.
There are a lot of conferences.
Lots of conferences. But not everybody goes to every single conference.
Yeah.
And so there are people that I only know from Inman, and so I see them twice a year. But I see them every day, if I want to, on Facebook. So it keeps that connection going. Again, cutting out some of the blah, 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 chatter, and really able to just dig in and go, so tell me what's going on with your business right now. Where do you need help, or what's your latest passion project that you're not talking about on Facebook? Like, I got all the other stuff. Like, let's get real.
I can see where that goes a long way.
Yeah.
So maybe a little shift. You know, who's someone that helped you grow or learn about the relational side of the business? Is there someone that there were aha moments of when you were learning from other people as you kind of came to now being an expert in teaching others?
That's a really interesting question. You know, I think I'm really passionate about having mentors in my life. And so I can't think of one person in particular, but you know, my bosses at the brokerage that I worked with were very, how do I say, open-minded when it came to understanding how to use social media. Because when it first started hitting, you know, here I was, this 20-something coming in with this crazy red hair going, let's all go on Facebook. And they're like, Facebook that'll be done in 2 years. We're not going to waste our time. And so those leaders, I think part of why they trusted me was because we had relationship. And so I don't know I think innately I understand how to build relationship. I think it's one of my core talents is to dig in and find out about people and hear their stories and want to be part of that. But I think seeing how it actually worked in corporate is what helped me understand how I can take it outside of that and help the entrepreneur do that.
Right. So now let's flip completely to the other side.
Okay.
I have an agent friend who I love. He said, if you're going to jump into the pool, why jump into the coldest side? Jump into the warmest side where you have relationships.
Right.
Let's talk about leads.
Okay.
So how do you treat leads differently? What's your perspective? What's the difference in interacting with leads versus it sounds like people that come to you are coming through relational channels? Like, walk me through the lead side of the business.
So I would say I'm probably the antithesis of leads.
Yeah.
I'm anti-hustle, anti-lead.
Yeah.
Because why spend all that time getting to know a stranger when you've got hundreds of people in your world that you know already? And there's some teams that do a really great job of it. You know, they've got a person on their team that all they do is dial for dollars and have the conversations, and that works for some people.
Right.
But not the people that I work with. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so it's the people that I work with tend to not care about leads. They don't join a company because they're going to get leads, right? And you know, one of the things I also teach inside the value structure, right? So if I value mastery, if I value aesthetics, if I value efficiency, then the people who I'm going to want to work with are probably luxury or investor clients. They're
Yep.
not first-time home buyers who ask a million questions.
Yeah.
And so it's the same in my relationships. Do you value the same things I value?
Yep.
Do we share a similar faith? Are we passionate about the same things? And really let it grow from there, as opposed to leads, which are just strangers.
Right.
Going, hey, yeah, that house is interesting. Right. And I know how I am as a consumer, even when I'm not looking for a house. I'm randomly looking at stuff.
Absolutely.
I'm not actually doing
time.
it with, so I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be great to live in Paris? You know?
Yeah, is there someone that will show me let me in the door
Yes.
and then let me
Where's
back out?
Key?
That's right. Yeah, I've been there. No, I share the same view. We really, it's been shocking to see the statistics going through our platform and seeing even top agents that are investing very heavily in leads. It's still driving less than 20, 30% of their business.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, to your point, when you have these very trusted advisors and relationships and channels you can go after, there's so much value there.
Yeah.
How does that play into how you're helping agents focus on specific niches and targets? Because I think that's a really interesting wrinkle on this whole thing.
Yeah, well, as I was saying earlier, what are your words?
Yeah.
Right, so I take them through a process of defining what they value, choosing really key words on what fills what I call their soul tank. Right, so what are the activities, who are the people, what are the charities that when they're doing it with those people in a place that they love, that they feel more energized than when they walked in the door, right? And so they have their personal brand words, their value words, the things they're passionate about, their purpose, and so it allows them to, in a way, even find leads inside their own circle of people that they don't even know they share those things in common with. Because real estate is, people accept people on Facebook that they're not really friends with yet.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, I met you at a conference. Sure, I'll accept you. And so they haven't really built that deeper connection yet. And so I think we can actually find leads in our own pool of friends on social media by sharing our words.
So last thing I just want to end on are some tips. You've been coaching people on all these things.
Yes.
There are so many things that are hard when you get into this business, or when you're thinking about, how should I engage with these people, right? I love the words, and you have these magnets that are pulling people, and then you have things to talk about. But then there's times where you're then trying to turn it to business, or you're trying to understand. So I'm curious, how do you guide the conversation in real estate? How does it turn from the words that you have to them knowing that you're in real estate, or that they, how do you guide that conversation?
What you do for a living is the number one question people ask in the United States. So you always get there. And so when I coach people, I say one of the things that we need to do is create memorable moments when we're connecting with people in person. Because at a place they're meeting 1,000 people over a week. And so how do you stand out? You might have crazy red hair.
That works.
So people will remember you. But you can also use your words. Instead of, you said, what is the question I ask people? It's not what do you do?
Right.
It's what do you do for fun? In the United States, again, the number one question is, what do you do for a paycheck?
Right.
Really? What do you do for a living is basically, how do you pay your bills? It's such a weird question, right? And I remember being in Europe, and nobody asks you what you do.
Nobody asks that.
And it's almost offensive if you ask them what they do, because basically you're asking them how they get money. And how everything is about that. What are they passionate about? What do they love? Where is their next vacation? And when you do ask that question in a crowd of people who are all asking the other one, you become memorable right in that moment. And from my perspective, and it falls right in line with what you do, it immediately tells you, do we have things in common? Right? If you tell me that you're going on some extreme athlete hike where you're scaling some I'm going to think, wow, that's cool, but we're probably not gonna mesh. Right. I like to go to Paris and drink wine, eat cheese.
If it's my dog park, then maybe we have something
Walk
to talk
my dog,
about.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I'm curious, if you're at a party, or if you're further in the conversation, or you know this person fairly well, how do you find out if they're thinking about moving?
Well, there's moments that elicit real estate needs in every conversation. So sometimes it could be, we've been thinking about starting our family. Yep. Or it could be something as simple as, I am so tired of this kitchen. I hate this layout. I can't open
the trigger.
It's aha. Yeah.
We have something to talk about.
We
I have
have something
value
to
to
talk
add
about.
to you on this.
Yes.
I can help you
I
refurbish
can
it, or
help
I
you
can
with
help
that.
you.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't even happen in that moment, and I think that's really important for people to remember is I can take note of that moment that they shared with me, and then when I'm out touring around with my latte and just checking out the new listings, I can say, hey, Jen, you know that conversation we had about your kitchen? Like, I just saw the most amazing kitchen for you. And I'm coming from a place of serving, right? I'm saying, I heard you, I understand what your issue was, and I think I have a solution for you.
Yeah.
And most people, like we were saying before, they like to see the inside of the house.
Oh, yeah.
They want to go inside. And so, ta-da.
Yeah. What about starting a conversation with someone you haven't talked to in a long time? I know before you said you kind of catch up on Facebook and all that, but
Yeah.
but you're running into someone, or you need to call someone you haven't talked to in a couple of years. Well, how do you re-engage?
From finding out if they have a real estate need?
No, I think that it's general. So we're actually able to identify that this person is going to sell 6 to 9 months from now.
Okay.
You may not have talked to them in 2 years.
Yeah.
And so, one of the challenges in much of this is, there are people that I just haven't gotten around to. I've been so busy running my business, and this person, I sold them a house, or they've been an investor client in the past, and I need to re-engage.
Yep.
And sometimes people are blocked by that.
Correct.
Right. So where do you start?
Well, first of all, I think it's shake off the shame. We all have that problem. We all lose touch with people that we do care about, but life moves fast. And with all of the technology coming at us, life is going faster. It feels faster. 24 hours is still the same.
That's right.
But it's already near the end of January already,
It's
right?
crazy.
And so we all experience the same thing. So I think if you can just shake off the shame, give yourself some grace and say, all right, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while. I would love to reconnect, and just be honest. You don't need a sales pitch to connect with somebody that's from your past.
Yep.
And I also think one of the things that a lot of new agents, when they get into the business, they think their first deals are going to come from their friends and family, and it's not. And I think that if you can get past that in your mind and say, it's going to be their friends of friends.
Yep.
That it's about reaching out outside of your direct sphere and and keeping relationships that are closer to you, but also saying, hey, do you know anybody?
That's right.
Like, what's going on in your world? How's Jennifer? How's Jonathan? Just asking about the other people in their life, listening for those moments that elicit the real estate need.
Yep. So you've already given us your amazing, find your words. Are there any other tricks that you have for kind of going deeper, solidifying the relationship? I'll give you an example.
Okay.
An agent that we know really well, he'll go to lunch or coffee, and he'll really listen, like you were saying. And then he'll pick out something that they said, something about what's going on in their family or whatnot, and he'll send them a book, right, or send them an article. And there's a step beyond, like you said, that really sets him apart. Are there other things that you have as you're engaging with people that you do on a consistent basis to kind of go a step beyond what others are doing?
Well, I think I've been doing this long enough where the people in my world know my words.
Yep.
Right? And so the people in my world either share my words or are interested in my words. And so wine is a great example.
Sure.
So when I sold real estate, everything around how I would interact with my clients had to do something with wine. I'm super close to Washington wine country. Yep. And so it would be like, let's meet over a glass of wine to talk about what you're looking for. At closing, they'd get, a bottle of local wine, and, we'd sit and talk about it and open it up together.
Oh, wow.
And then client parties were at a local winery. We do wine tasting. And so I was creating a community of my clients who all shared the same thing.
Sure.
And as a realtor, as a real estate professional, the best thing you can do to build your business is get your people who love you together.
Yes.
So that they're sharing your story. They're talking about, oh my gosh, can you imagine? Like, wouldn't it be great if we had another friend here having this wine tasting experience? Like, they want to bring their friends into this pack because it's something they're interested in too. And so I think agents sometimes take it too on themselves too much. Like, they have to do it all. Yeah. No.
There's so much guilt we've found.
Yes.
I should be following up with everyone. I don't have
That's the
time.
shame.
There's so much shame and guilt.
Oh,
Yeah.
that breaks my heart.
Yeah. That's great. Well, are you ready for a speed round?
Sure.
So our company is called First. So we're gonna we'll do 60 seconds of firsts. You can
Okay.
pass on any of them, but you only get points for ones you answer.
Oh, okay.
You ready for that?
I'm ready,
All
sure.
right, great. So what was your first job?
My first job was a lemonade stand.
That's beautiful. How old were you? I have to ask a follow-on to that one.
I was probably about four and a half, yeah.
First car?
First car was a Fiat, a little red convertible Fiat.
Wow. First listing?
First listing, oh my gosh, was a condo in Kirkland.
Wow.
Yeah.
First pet?
First pet was a dog.
Dog.
Yep.
Name?
Maury.
Maury. First question you ask when you meet someone?
What do you do for fun?
Nice. First CD you bought?
CD, okay, no, I bought cassette.
Beautiful.
And it was the Go-Go's.
That's awesome. Oh, that's beautiful. I need to change my question. First computer?
First computer was Apple IIe.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
First Inman Connect?
First Inman Connect was 2010.
Okay. First cell phone number?
I have no idea.
Don't remember. First plane flight? And where'd you go?
First plane flight was to Portland, Oregon to visit my grandparents.
Wow. First home you bought?
First home I bought was in Bellevue, Washington.
First website domain name?
DebraTrappen.com.
Wow. First time you traveled overseas?
2008.
Wow. We're getting all kinds of fun stuff going on here. I think we finished our minute.
Yep.
First time we do an interview. This is the first time we do an interview.
That's awesome.
Here you have it. That was pretty good. You made it almost halfway through the list. Well done. I stopped you. That was unfair. I had to ask a follow-up.
You're like, wait.
Wait, that's really interesting. Well, thank you so much. This has been really fun to get to know you on this interview.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing. I'm really excited for more agents to figure out their words and go deeper with their client. It's really exciting.
Yeah, thank you. This has been fun.
Yeah, thanks.